The Indiana Hoosiers just made this power move. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron, and with my partner Paul, we are the Big Ten guys on the daily, pushing out Big Ten content, news, insights, analysis, rumors, whatever it might be. We're talking about it right here. So, Indiana fans or whoever, Big Ten fans, don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and hit the like button. If you do so, I can guarantee the Indiana Hoosiers will win a national championship. I can't guarantee that. But if you like it and it happens to happen under my boy Kurt Signasty, then it's all on you because you like this video. Now, that's beside the point. In this video today, the Hoosiers and Coach Signetti, in general, drop an absolute bomb on the NCAA. Really power move saying, we do not care. We're going to do what's best for us. And quite frankly, it seems like everyone else is doing that too. So why are we getting scrutinized? And we're going to take a more in-depth approach of why Signetti is right, and why there needs to be more order when it comes to scheduling in major college football. So the whole drama was Kurt Signetti came out and said, listen, we are just taking approach an SEC philosophy approach, which I think is hilarious. And I'm glad he said that, because if you're not familiar, the SEC plays 8 conference games and then 4 non-conference games. Now, I'm going to pull up just a random one for you. So here is Ole Miss. There's a couple random ones that I'm just going to pull up. So here's Ole Miss, for instance. You have Georgia State, non-conference. Tulane, I will give them that. Tulane they have been much better as of late. And then they have the Citadel, and they have, Washington State. So Citadel, Washington State, Georgia State, all trash. Tulane, I'll give you a middle of the road, that's a tough game, or could be a tough game. Tulane, as I said, has been better. But that's 4 games. And notice the November non-conference game, there's a consistent pattern here in the SEC. And this has been happening for a long time. This is something I've talked about a decade ago. I brought this up when I was talking to buddies when I lived down south. I live in Michigan now, or originally from Michigan, back in Michigan. But I would say, listen, you have a cupcake game at the end of the season where the Big Ten is consistently, for the most part, in a gauntlet. We go to Georgia. Georgia plays Marshall and Austin Peay. And then at the end, let's see, November, there's the easy cupcake game against Charlotte. And then they go into Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech has not been what they've used to be. Now, I will jump into the Bama schedule. At least they have Florida State and Wisconsin scheduled. I'll give them that. I'll tip my hat to that. We know Nick Saban he really liked a different location, and a neutral field location, typically when he was playing a big time non-conference team. That's obviously changed a little bit, but you look at this, the end of November, going into the Iron Bowl against Auburn, Eastern Illinois, FCS school. There is a consistent theme in the SEC. And so if people in the SEC are going to get all upset, they're going to get their panties all in a wad, that they in a tangle, because Indiana says, you know what? We already play 9 conference games because we're in the Big Ten. And if you pull up, if we look at Indiana's schedule real quick, you're gonna see that it's not necessarily a walk in the park. Again, 3 non-conference games. I'm going to tell you those should all be cupcakes. All should be cupcakes. But then Illinois is a team that returns a lot under Brett Bielema. It is going to be a tough game. And then from there, so you have 4 home games in a row. The first Big Ten game, tough. At Iowa is never easy. At Oregon is not going to be easy. I'm a Michigan State fan. I'm not going to be biased here. That should not be hard, depending on what Michigan State team comes, if that offensive line's better. But again, I'm going to give that one to Indiana. UCLA should be a walk in the park in Bloomington for them. Maryland, walk in the park. But then Penn State, Wisconsin, 2 tough games. Purdue, again, should be easy, even though that's in West Lafayette. But you look at that schedule, and it's not like if they were doing what the SEC did, they would have where that Penn State game is, or Wisconsin game. Instead, they would have an FCS team right there. So again, for all these SEC people that are coming out and getting all upset, about what Kurt Signet said, get out of here. It's a joke. It's a joke. I think he was justified in what he said. I think it makes sense. If the NCAA in major college football really wants to figure this thing out, what they could do is simple. They could say it's mandatory. You have to play 9 conference games. And then you could figure out something where you play those 3 non-conference. Sure, they could be all group of 5, group of 6, whatever you want to call it now. Group of 5 teams. Sure, those could be your cupcake games. But then a lot of people say, well, what about FCS teams? And I will tell you this. I will defend FCS teams for just a moment. FCS teams get a lot of their funding. Group of 5 teams get a lot of their funding from playing big time teams, from playing group of 4 technically now, or sorry, power 4 teams. There we go. So Indiana's paying these teams to come play them. That's what it comes down to. I don't know how much. I didn't dive into that. But for an FCS school, that is a lot of money. They are not drawing the crowds like major college football is. And so I think what they could do is during the spring, they could pay these teams, instead of having a spring game where you're playing the same team, why don't you have a spring game where you're playing an FCS team, just kind of like a warm-up? Kind of like in basketball, they play exhibition games. I know at least in Michigan, I don't know how it is in Indiana, but in Michigan, Michigan State, Michigan, they play Division II teams. So they play like a Grand Valley, they play a Ferris State, they play a Northern Michigan, whatever. And it's kind of like a warm-up game. But a spring game, you're still paying this team to come play you. I don't see anything wrong with that. But playing an FCS team, almost everyone knows it's a walk in the park. Not always. To my Michigan fans out there, Appalachian State, never forget. If I gotta say that as a Michigan State fan, never forget. But it comes down, hey, as a coach, you're going to do what's in your best interest to get you to the playoffs. Signetti doing just that. SEC coaches doing just that. If you were smart, you would do the same thing. Again, what do you think about what he had to say? Comment below. Do you think it's a low blow? What is your thought? And then he also said, why shouldn't the Big Ten have 4 automatic qualifiers? I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it all shakes out to, what the playoff looks like. A lot of people are like, we should change it to a 14-16 team playoff. Okay, okay, let's see. Let's pump the brakes. We just finished literally the first year of the college football playoff at this capacity. So let's see how it plays out. But again, Indiana made it. They had a tough opponent against Notre Dame. Notre Dame made it all the way to the national championship. Indiana, we'll talk about in a second, has reloaded in a lot of spots. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily opposed to 4 automatic qualifiers, but we will see moving forward. And definitely, and that's tough, because if you say that about the Big Ten, well, what about the ACC, who's also a Power 4? And you can look at last year, there was no depth. That conference was bad. It was not good. Clemson should have ran away with it, and they didn't. Florida State has just been in the dumps. Miami hasn't even been good. Like, it has not been doing well. North Carolina might turn around with Bill Belichick, who the heck knows. But to say the Big Ten should have it turns into a slippery slope. It's very, very interesting. Ryan Day came out in support of Signetti. Just think it's cool to see this man literally brought his team from losing to Michigan and hands down the best team in college football, going through a gauntlet in the playoff and winning the national championship, putting a lot of people, all the haters to rest. Again, I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I give credit where credit is due. Everyone thought, hey, Tennessee's going to go into Columbus and beat them. They did not. Oregon, the Big Ten champions, couldn't beat them in the Rose Bowl. Ohio State stomped on them, beat Texas, and then as well beat Notre Dame. So that is a gauntlet. That is not easy to do. And it's cool to see Ryan Day saying, listen, I agree. I agree. It creates a different playing field when you play 9 games in the Big Ten and only 8. It's not the same. It is not the same. Again, those are the schedules. Now, comment below. Again, tell me what you think about Signetti's comments. You agree with them, you disagree. Let's hear from you. Next up, some good news for the Indiana Hoosiers is a lot of preseason awards are coming out. And a lot of times, a lot of names you've been seeing is Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, Jeremiah Smith, obviously. But you also see Elijah Surratt, who obviously we all remember coming from James Madison with Signetti, had a huge impact this past year, and then was obviously great at James Madison. A lot of potential going into his senior year, especially with Mendoza at quarterback. Fernando Mendoza coming from Cal, which it is weird for me to say was in the ACC, the Atlantic Coastal Conference, even though they're on the Pacific Coast. What are the times we are living in? But I think you are going to see a lot of people sleeping on the Indiana Hoosiers. A lot of people not realizing, hey, they mean business, and they have a lot of playmakers, especially in this offense, that I think is only going to be good for Mendoza. It was good for Rourke last year, Curtis Rourke. This year, I think it'll be good for Mendoza. And Surratt, I think that he's only gonna thrive more in this offense with a quarterback like this. So I think things are looking up. Just had to throw that in there on top of the Signetti stuff. So comment below. Tell me what you think about the Hoosiers. Tell me what you think about what Signetti had to say. You guys rock. Do not miss out on the content. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. We'll talk later. Peace.